Hello everyone, Metal Gear Sort of here with a long overdue update on the Barbara voice mod I covered months and months ago. Many months ago, actually. If you're not sure what's going on with that, back during the 1.3 update, MiHoYo changed Barbara's voice from the beta voice she was using for her battle lines to a more relaxed, more calm voice.
I'll protect us. Let's dance. Let the show begin.
Like that, basically. Now, I didn't like that very much. I liked the more energetic beta voice they gave her. I'm not going to get into what's going on with that. I'll link a video in the description to cover all that, and I also covered a lot of it in the previous video, so we'll skip that. But anyway, this new version of this mod, it fixes a lot of issues. We had one major issue with it, where it would cause Xiao's voice and Hu Tao's voice to basically stop working. This will fix that, and it's also a lot easier to apply, and more importantly, it's easier to remove this mod, which is very useful for updates, because, you know, updates do integrity checks on the files, it'll re-download files, and this helps a lot with that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First off, this mod assumes that you have a vanilla install of Genshin Impact and you have no other mods, or that you either haven't done the earlier mod I mentioned, or you've undone that mod, since it just required you to move a few PCK files from one folder to another, or delete them, yada yada. If you've made any modifications to your voice files, you're going to want to do a repair on your Genshin Impact install from the launcher here. Now, you can do this on the login screen, but I strongly recommend you do the repair from here, as the game client itself seems to use a temporary folder in the game, within the subfolder within the game itself, which does cause some issues later. I'll cover that, don't worry. So, exit the game, do a repair now from the launcher here. Make sure all your game files are where they should be and everything, and launch the game again. Now, you can also do this mod with the game not running. I'm only doing it with the game running to show you, because it's quicker that way. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do this mod with the game running as well. So, first things first, let's get out of here. We're going to go to our settings here. Now, very important, if you have the game running, you need to change your voiceover language to something other than English. You can see here I have the Chinese and Japanese voiceover files downloaded. I'm just going to change the Chinese, just because, like I said, you need to change to something other than English. You have to get this message saying the language settings will be applied, blah blah blah. You can Alt-Tab out. We're going to minimize this. We're going to come to here. This is your English US folder in the Genshin Impact game, Genshin Impact data, streaming assets, audio, generated sound banks, Windows, English US folder right here. That's where the English voiceover files for this game live, basically, for lack of a better term. And what we're going to do, in the description I will link to this rename.bat file. This is a Windows batch file. It's basically just a text file with a bunch of command line commands in it. In this case, just a bunch of rename commands that will rename a bunch of files here, starting from external 0 all the way down to VO151. It'll basically switch their names around. So the external files will become the VO files, and the VO files will become the external files. Now, basically, you'll either right-click and select Run. Where's the Run command at? Oh, there's the Run as Administrator. Whatever. Double-click it. You can also double-click it, so Run as Administrator or double-click, doesn't matter. Oops. You get a little command window pops up. Now, one thing you should pay attention to is this external 0 PCK file. Its file size, it was about 50-something kilobytes earlier, now it's 32 kilobytes. I should have really pointed that out before I did that, but fortunately, this batch file has another useful feature. If you run a second time, it undoes the changes it made, because of the way it's structured there, which is very nice. June, in the other video, was very helpful in doing this. They created this batch file, and I'd like to thank them very much for that. Basically, anytime you run this thing, the first time you run it, it will rename the files the way they should be to get the old voice back, to get Barbara's old beta voice back. If you run it a second time, you will undo those changes. There we go. As you can see, with the files unmodified, this first PCK file, external 0, should be about 50,759 kilobytes. That's about roughly 49.5 megabytes. And as you can see, the first VO file here, VO120, is 32,445 kilobytes. That's 31.6 megabytes. Don't worry, I'll stop this technical talk soon here. Don't worry. Again, when you run, anytime you run that file, it'll rename the file. It'll rename these PCK files. It'll switch them around. See there? See down here? So that's how you know it worked. I'll run it again to undo it. And it really shouldn't take that long. It's just because I have OBS running. I'll do it again. Boom. That's how you switch it on and off. Now, next we're going to come back to the game proper. We're going to change it back from Chinese to English. And then we have the Beta Barbara voice back. Then we can come to the menu here.
Oh, protect us! Let's dance! Let the show begin!
Now, a couple of notes here. We don't have beta voices for the low HP lines in the game, as far as I know.
Gotta keep track. I can't. Don't worry about me.
And for the opening a treasure chest line. Where are those at? Oh, here they are. We don't have those lines anywhere. So those won't change at all. So don't worry about that. That can't be helped or anything. Live with it, basically. Now, I would end the video right there, but I'd like to cover some troubleshooting real quick. In case this doesn't work and you just did all the steps as closely as you can right there, I'll show you how to double check things here. First things first, let's switch back to Chinese because you can't modify any files or rename them or anything unless you do that. Now, if you restored your files or repaired your game from the launcher right here, like with this, you generally shouldn't have any problems because the launcher seems to be a bit better about downloading files and all that stuff. But the game itself, you can actually repair the games from the login screen in the game client. If you do it that way, which comes into play with updates as well, it will try to use the persistent folder. The persistent folder here in Genshin Impact Data is a temporary download folder. It's where the game client keeps temporary downloaded files at. If you log into the game and it doesn't update or it does a patch update or whatever, and it detects the files aren't the way they should be, it will download files to this folder. Persistent, Audio Assets, English US. And you can see I've changed the name of it to English US 1 just to kind of stop that. But here you can see I did a repair from the login screen, and it downloaded all the files that had their names changed to this folder. In fact, if I go ahead and change this back to English US 1, it will undo the... Oops. It will undo what I just did here. You'll get the... see there? Now then, that's probably the biggest troubleshooting step you should watch out for. If you have those files here in the persistent folder, you can either just delete them because it's just a temporary folder, or you can just put a number 1 at the end of English US here in the persistent folder. Okay, persistent, audio assets, English US. And that's usually enough to get the game to use the other folder instead. So, now, if you do all these steps and it does not work for you at all, then, that's it. It should work. If it doesn't work, then there's not really much I can do for you. I'm sorry, but, it's that simple. And, let's see, what else should I say? I'm not responsible if you break your computer with this. It shouldn't break your computer, but, somehow it might. I don't know. I'm not affiliated with MiHoYo in any way, so obviously don't do this mod if you're worried about getting your account banned. My account has not been banned yet, and I've been playing this for ever since the I've been doing this mod since sometime after the 1.3 update, so I think I'm okay. I think I'm safer now. And that's basically it. Oh yeah, and updates. I should probably mention updates. Now, as I said, both during patches and during major updates, the game will detect that these files have been renamed because their file sizes will be different. Now, this isn't a problem for version number updates because we know well in advance when those are going to be. So all you have to do is, after you download the latest update, just come to this folder. I'd recommend you go ahead and make a shortcut to this. Create shortcut, put it on your desktop so you can get to it very quickly, as I have. And just double-click the rename.bat file and just rename your files back. And then just install the update as usual. See there? And then launch the game. Or, well, you're probably going to have to wait till you log in anyway. So, log in, change your language, your spoken language, to something other than English. Come here, rename your files, go back to the game, switch it back, and you're golden. Now, after a version update, you may have a patch that occurs that if the patch modifies any of the files here or adds to them or anything, it'll do an integrity check. It'll try to download all these files all over again. And that's where you're going to run into problems. From there to there, this is in total about, what was it? Just over 2 gigabytes, basically. If you log into your game after doing this mod, and you'd see the game downloading over 2.63 gigabytes, you know that this game was probably there was an update to the game's voice files, and it's detected that these files have been renamed, and it's trying to download all of them. Now, the game client, as I said, will try to put files in this exact folder, in the persistent folder, persistent audio assets, English US. Just exit from the game, rename these files here by double-clicking rename.bat. Relaunch the game, let the patch install itself, and then again, just alt-tab out, change your audio language back from English, rename these files, and go back to the game, go about your business, basically. Now, you can delete the persistent folder if you want. There's an option in the alt-tab back out. Come on. Over in here, in the launcher, there is an option to clear download resources. And that will actually delete the contents of the persistent folder if you're having problems with it or anything with that one. Or like I've done, you can just rename it to something other than English US. And that's usually enough to disable that. So you can delete it, you can delete this persistent folder, or what's in it basically, or you can rename the English US folder in it to something other than English US 1, or English US rather. And that's usually enough to get around that problem. Now, let's discuss the potential issues with this mod. It will affect the 1.3 quest files. If you're well past the 1.3 quest, the We Will Be Reunited stuff, you won't have to worry about any of that. But if you haven't played that yet, you will notice some of the lines not working at random. That's so far the only issue I've run across with this. Other than that, you can pretty much enjoy the game without any other issues. And you can have the Beta Barber voice back, the energetic Beta Barber voice back. That's it. That's pretty much it there. Again, if you do everything in this, if you follow the directions properly on this, and it still doesn't work for you, there's not really much I can do for you. I've shown you how to do it here. I'll just go over the steps again. If you have the game running, make sure you change the language to Chinese before you try to rename any files, because if you keep it in English, it will lock these files and you won't be able to modify them. You won't be able to rename them in any way, form, or fashion. That's just the way it works. So, anyway, I'm going to do that one more time. And again, it's usually not that slow, it's just because I have OBS running. Change back to English. And that's how you get Barbara's old energetic voice back, or how you remove this mod if you for some reason don't want to have it or whatever. So yeah, one more time, just because. Do. So there you have it. I will link to the file in the description. If you're having problems locating the folder that you need to do this to, let's see. You can come to the launcher. It'll show you where your local files are. In my case, it's on a separate hard drive, which I have dedicated solely to gaming. Or you can just check the you can check your Genshin Impact shortcut as well. Properties, file location. There's the launcher right there. Here's Genshin Impact game, and from there on out, Genshin Impact data. There's a persistent folder, streaming assets, audio, generated sound banks, Windows, English US. There you go. Make sure your renamed .bat file is in this exact folder, or it will not work. Okay, very important. Make sure it's only in this folder. It will not work anywhere else. Okay? Okay? Good. Enjoy.